I've got my college basketball model for the DraftKings 2-game slate for tonight. And we'll go through it quickly, and then I'll link the model in the description down below so that you can make a copy. You can look at all the stats and projections yourself. You can edit minutes and hopefully put together a winning lineup. So starting with the team overview of our 2 games tonight, the 2 teams that stand out are going to be Clemson and UConn. And then because they're implied for more points than they average on the season, so those guys are going to get a boost in the model for that. Tough spot for Illinois, and not great for Bama, but you might be able to find some players there if their salaries are reasonable. Let's go look at the individual player pool for tonight's slate, which I have here. And again, you'll have access to this whole spreadsheet, all the advanced stats, all the season-long stats, all the projections, all my projections, all the ratings, all that good stuff here. But what I'm looking for when I'm trying to build my lineup is I'm looking at these 3 categories: the fantasy points plus minus in BI, the plus minus in BJ, and then the fantasy points and rating in BR. So the BI column, this is their average projection based on their fantasy points per minute, multiplied by the minutes they're projected to play tonight, which is their last 5, and then combine that with my projection for them, which is in column AQ. And then we're comparing that to the fantasy points they need to hit value, which is going to be a little over 4x their salary. You can see that in column BH here. Obviously, the brighter green or the bigger the number, the better. So PJ Hall is grading out as the best play of the slate. We'll talk about him in just a second. Column BJ is the same thing, but using only my projections from AQ here. And again, PJ Hall pops as the best play. And then finally, BR is a combination of their projected fantasy points, their rating score, which is a value assigned to things like their matchup and their advanced stats, 100 being the best score. And those 2 things compared to their salary give us this BR score. And what I do over here is I sort by each of those 3 categories, and I highlight the top 10. So if you see light green like Diarra, that means he appeared only once in the top 10. Bright green like Klingon means he appeared twice in the top 10. You see blue like Hall, that means they appear 3 times in the top 10. So usually I want to start with the blue guys because they're popping all 3 ways. Looking tonight specifically, PJ Hall is grading out as the best play. Now he has basically been in foul trouble every game for the last month and a half, but he does have 35-minute upside. So if he can stay out of foul trouble somehow, and let's say he does get to 35 minutes, then his projection goes up to 37 fantasy points, which doesn't just make him the best value play by a lot, but he actually ends up being the highest raw projected fantasy points of anybody tonight at a really good salary. So even though he's been in foul trouble and he likely won't get to 35 minutes, there is that upside, but even if he just plays, say, 24 minutes, he still grades out as a really good play. So I'm going to start my lineups with PJ Hall. And then looking here at the other blue players, I will probably then go to Caravan because of his salary here. And then I think I will also add Castle and Gerard. So those will likely be my first 4 in: Hall, Caravan, Castle, and Gerard. And I don't know about this middle tier here, the most expensive guys on the slate that do look like decent plays. But if you try to fit these guys in, you're stuck going down to this group down here. And it's a 2-game slate, so it's obviously viable. But if you can find a more well-rounded approach, start with those 4, and then maybe use cheaper UConn guys like Spencer, or even one Illinois player, Coleman Hawkins, because they don't look like a great team. I think that might be my approach tonight. Maybe avoid this 7,700 plus tier and try to keep everybody in this mid-range. But you do whatever feels right for you. Again, 2-game slate, so you got to do something to try to be different. When you're looking at the model, you can sort obviously by salary, by just raw projected fantasy points and look through there. Look at guys whose salaries stand out compared to people projected around them to try to find other good plays that may not be top 10, but still very viable. You can look at rating scores, go through all of this, look at their shot rates, their usage, their fantasy points per minute, all kinds of good stuff here. Use it however you'd like. My preference is to sort by BI, just the fantasy point plus minus, and then kind of build from the top down. So good luck tonight. I hope you can find a way to be different and win some money. See you guys.